we've got a very special guest with us tonight. We have Mr. Dan McDougall from Never. Welcome to Sin, Dan.
How are you, gentlemen?
We're very good. We're actually going to, because we told people that the interview would actually be on more or less around 8:20. So, but since you're already here, we're just gonna keep cracking, and maybe you can tell us about some of the songs what's your opinion on some of the songs that we're going to be playing. For example, what's your opinion on The Sword?
To be honest, man, I haven't heard a great deal of The Sword.
You haven't heard a great deal of The Sword?
Yeah, I've heard a couple of songs, and I enjoy it, but it's just a band that's sort of gone under the radar for me. I haven't. One day I'll get a copy of their record or something like that will come into my hands, and I'm sure I'll love it. I've seen some of their film clips, and they look badass. It's definitely up my alley, but these days the time I have to listen to music is very few and far between.
So you got to play it.
Well, and writing music means, and recording music means that I'm listening to a lot of my own music, unfortunately. A lot of the time, especially we've been doing a fair bit of recording of late, and listening to a lot of my friends' bands who have been recording as well recently too. So, yeah.
How about the W.A.S.P? They're a bit of an older band, so
W.A.S.P,
you probably would know more about them.
Yeah, I certainly know about W.A.S.P.
Not a fan? Glam?
No,
glam?
no. Oh, man, my roots start in glam, man. The first band I ever got into was Poison when I was 8 years old, and that's the reason I'm sitting in this room right now. I saw that band, and I wanted to play in a band. After that, Nothing But a Good Time was the song I heard. I saw that clip, and the rest is history. So,
sorry, which clip was it?
Nothing But a Good Time.
Oh, yes.
Like Poison always started their film clips with a little bit of a storyline, and you'd always know we'd stay up all night waiting for them to come on Rage, and then you'd always know the Poison clip because they'd have this little storyline at the start. And I think it's that song in itself is God. I kind of actually live that life, you know. I work a pretty basic 9-to-5 job that is pretty much there to support what I do outside of work and playing in a band. You know, I can't really. I've never been able to get some kind of career outside of playing music because that's all I want to do. You know, so I have to work a shitty job just to pay the bills so I can rock out at night.
You know, we all have to, as long as you enjoy what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
That's the most important.
You wouldn't be doing it if you weren't.
Most definitely, man. It's a means to an end for me. It's the day starts when my job finishes and I get to go do what I really want to do, you know. And I've always lived like that, and probably will to the day I die.
Well, Dan used to be in Frankenbok, but we're not talking about today. We're talking about his new band, Never. But first, we're going to play the two bands we just discussed. Then we got High Country by The Sword, and last Runaway from W.A.S.P. Now, High Country is the title track from that album. Just came out, their 5th studio album. It's kind of shifted a bit from doom metal to a bit more of a stoner rock, which was, you know, kind of like Buffalo, which was a band that you're playing with.
That's right.
And then we got W.A.S.P, who has their 15th album, but their first in 9 years. All right, you're listening to...
Actually, 6 years, actually.
6 years?
Yeah.
6 years?
Oh, was it? Okay,
Yeah.
got that wrong.
I think it's a miracle they've put a new album out at all, really. I can't wait to hear this, actually.
All right, well, first up, The Sword. Play it, Ash.
I am playing it.
You better.
New Noise, Moshpit and Sin.
Dan McDougall is still here from Never.
Yep.
And he's got... I think Steve's got the first question. The interview starts right now.
Hey, first let's talk about yourself, Dan. Where did your life in music begin? Was it at a young age?
Well, as I said, pretty much started when I found and discovered Poison.
Yeah.
Pretty much from that point on, I was in love with rock and roll and guitar-based music, and bands like Guns N' Roses and Poison, Motley Crue. I grew up in a country town, so there was very little. All we really had was Rage and TV shows like that to sort of find new music at that point. And we had you might find this hard to believe, and I sound really old here, but like 2 or 3 TV channels. That was it back when I was that old.
I remember those times.
Yeah. So there was very limited access. So that's when I heard that stuff. It just grabbed me, and progressively as I got older, my tastes got heavier and heavier and heavier until by the time I was 16, 17, I was listening to very extreme grindcore and death metal and stuff like that. Nice. I guess like most rebellious and in inverted commas teenagers. I wanted it to, to take things to the extreme, and I took it as far as it could go. And I love all kinds of different metal, but including glam still to this day. Still love listening to it. I've always got a soft spot for it.
So you knew man Never. Did you leave Frankenbok to focus on this band full time?
No, I didn't. Pretty much, I left Frankenbok I left the band for quite a few reasons, but the main reason being that I'd been screaming into a microphone for about 22 years, and I'd kind of had enough. I was really looking for a new, different challenge, I guess, and that's what I've been able to do by moving over to guitar in Never. But we'd been jamming for about a year before I sort of quit the band. We'd just been mucking about, jamming with some mates. Pretty much how Never started, and but yeah, it's now given me the opportunity to focus on this and playing guitar, which is something I'm really enjoying, because with Frankenbok and screaming into a mic, it's not something you can really do at home to practice. You can, but you sound like a lunatic walking around the house screaming. I've always only ever felt comfortable really doing it in a live band situation. So now I get to rehearse and practice and play and get better at what I do. And, I've dabbled on guitar for a long time, but never taken it seriously up until about a year ago. And I'm enjoying the fact that I'm getting better at it, So, yeah, that's pretty much it, man.
So you had the desire. You also had the desire for a more classic heavy metal sound, because Frankenbok's a bit more thrash and groove.
Yeah, look, I haven't listened to sort of thrash metal and heavy, sort of really heavy music for a long time now. The music I'm into is a lot more subtle these days, and I'm into a lot of 70s rock and stoner and stuff that's just got big riffs and strong vocals, good melodies. The older I'm getting, the more mellow I'm becoming, I guess. But just don't listen to that kind of music anymore, and it's so much more enjoyable playing guitar. Like, vocals and doing the stuff that I sort of did in the past it's like a workout. It's an endurance session more than anything. And even rehearsals and stuff, I'd finish rehearsal and it's like I'd just done a workout for an hour instead of having fun playing music with my friends, which is what I do now. So I'm really, really enjoying that aspect of it.
So right now the band is made up of, I guess, current and ex-members of Frankenbok, Dreadnought, Red Sky Burial, and Heaven the Axe. So basically a supergroup. So what's it like working as a supergroup?
Well, I wouldn't call us a supergroup. Like I said, we're just a bunch of mates. We didn't set out to actually even start a band in the beginning. We just got together on a Monday night and started jamming, the four of us, without a singer. We didn't have one for a year. We just jammed and we just work on jams, but we also started putting together songs, and we had 4 or 5 songs written, and we just kept jamming them and having fun pretty much. And then we thought, well, we'll find a singer when somebody comes along. We were in no hurry. We were just having fun with it. And then Jay from Red Sky Burial, he's somebody that we've known for a long time. We heard the new Red Sky Burial CD and went, wow, he'd really suit what we do, and thought we'd just ask him and see if he'd be up for having a crack and coming in. And he just blew us away. His voice is amazing, and it really, really suited the music that we were writing. Not only that he actually is really, really into the kind of music that we're writing. It's what he listens to. So he's sort of really, really taken it on board. And I can't say enough about how good he is, and it's such a pleasure to have a real singer in your band as opposed to someone who just screams all the time. So it's been great. So and he's just fit in like a glove, and it's still the same. We get together on a Monday night and we jam. We had this gig come up that we decided, all right, we'll do this gig. It was pretty cool to be able to do a support for Dave Tice, and we thought, well, we want to get some music out there, and we'd been working on some recordings, but we had no intention of releasing any of this stuff. But we gave it to our producer guy to have a tinker with, and what he came back with just sounded amazing. So we just went, wow, let's just put a demo out. Let's do it old school and go back to what we were doing when we were 14 years old, putting out demos. And So we're manufacturing this thing ourselves. I'm just burning discs at home and putting together the packages, which I've made them look pretty slick. But we're just trying to get them out there to as many people as possible. So in the last couple of weeks, we just put the word out on Facebook for people. If they wanted a copy, give us their address and we'll send them 5.
We're about to play Revenge is a Skull.
Yep.
Yeah. Your demo. So is there anything you can tell us about it?
The song itself, again, it was a song this is a song that Azza wrote, and it's a little bit more aggressive than some of the other songs that we were sort of writing, and
we like that.
Yeah. I mean, look, like I said, we're trying not to push the boundaries too hard. We got another one that we've written since that's even a bit more rocking, but look, I really enjoyed this song to play. It's a very simple song. That's kind of what we set out to do too, was write pretty basic stuff that we can just have fun with. So it's a pretty simple song, but it's a really, really fun riff to play. And again, it was one of them songs that we'd had written for ages without vocals, and then Jay came in and just put down these amazing vocals and great lyrics and just completely finished off the song. And it's just completely tied it together, and I think it's a ripper. I love it. It's cool.
All right, enough talking about it. Let's listen to it.
Let's listen to Revenge of the Skull. All right, Dan McDougall from Never is still with us. He was also in Frankenbok, and we're still continuing our chat. Now, on Saturday, 26th of September, is Never's very first gig. You're playing at the Reverence Hotel. So what can heavy metal fans expect from the very first Never show?
A good time. Most definitely. We've put together quite a cool lineup. Not only are we playing, but opening the night are a fantastic 3-piece called Swidgen, and be right up your alley, dude. They're really, really, really cool band. They're heavy and riff-tastic, and are going to set the night on fire to get it started, and then we're going to come on and smash through our set. Look, high energy, lots of fun. That's what you can expect. But headlining the night is a man named Dave Tice, and Dave Tice was the front man for legendary, seminal, phenomenal band Buffalo. Sorry, I'm a big fanboy, so excuse me. This is pretty damn cool for me. So Dave's coming down, and he's going to be playing with a bunch of musos that we've put together for him, including my brother, who's also the drummer in Never, and a couple of other really good friends. And he's coming down, and he these days he does a lot of blues. His solo stuff's a lot of blues stuff. And he's going to be playing a mix of his blues stuff and some old Buffalo tracks. And I was at rehearsal last night with these guys, and it sounds absolutely amazing. And I cannot wait. Dave's going to come down and do one jam with the boys the night before the gigs start. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. And
the fans should definitely check out Buffalo, especially Dan's been nice enough to bring out one of Buffalo's old albums. We're going to play Skyrock, Volanic Rock by them soon, but this hilarious artwork here has, you might have seen on a bit of a taste of it, so to speak.
Shall
on
we
the
describe
Facebook
it?
Yes, well, I'll let Dan describe himself as the Buffalo fan. So the album cover for Volanic Rock.
Okay, Volanic Rock's artwork was, pretty controversial at the time, and we're talking, 1973, I'm pretty sure.
So when people were scared of metal?
When there was no heavy metal.
Was there when...
Black Sabbath were in their juniors.
Both at the same time.
Pretty much. I mean, you wouldn't really classify the music they were playing at the time as heavy metal, but it was pretty much the beginnings of... Buffalo were on the same record label on Vertigo, the same record label as Black Sabbath, and they were the only band outside of the UK to be signed to the Vertigo label. So they do, and they supported Black Sabbath when they came to Australia in 1974 as well. And it's pretty cool. But anyway, the Volanic Rock cover depicts a man of sort of a mythical being, I guess, holding a large phallic piece of rock shaped like a penis above his head. He's standing on top of a volcano that comes down and is then shaped like a woman's behind, and from underneath that behind is a lava flow, which sort of gives a certain connotation. So yeah, it's for the time it was pretty controversial, and that was one of Buffalo's fortes, I guess, and that's why I say that they were one of the first heavy metal bands. They were one of the first to use shock tactics for their front cover artwork, their publicity and their press. They were always in the press. Their publicist was always concocting stories and getting the guys into mischief, and they did do their fair share of mischief, but they started doing that. The lyrical content, the riffs, the heaviness. They were from a blues background, but they were the ones that started to really crank it up.
Well, as for yourself, you've been around since, say, the late 1990s. So how's the metal scene changed in Australia or Melbourne since then?
Dramatically. Well, it's just expanded in size more than anything. There's so many bands now. And I guess it hasn't changed much in the time that I've been in Melbourne. Still pretty much the same. Very tight knit community, I guess. Everyone supports everybody else. We don't really have a choice. We're pretty isolated in Australia. There's a lot of bands now that are heading out overseas, which is fantastic. People are finally starting to cotton on to the fact that there are a lot of really good bands from Australia.
What about yourself? Do you think you're going to try and bring Never overseas?
Oh, well, look, man, that would be fantastic. But it's not really high on our agenda just at this point. You know, we just want to take our time with it, and we'll no doubt play gigs throughout Australia before we even think about that, unless somebody offers us something. But that's not going to happen. So, eventually, man.
Speaking of besides the bands we've already mentioned, what other local Australian bands can you recommend for us?
Look, well, I always must spruik Dreadnought. I've been a massive Dreadnought fan since I was a kid. My brother's been playing bass in the band for well over a decade now, and cannot say enough good things about that band. They're absolutely phenomenal. They're currently... They tend to take a long time between writing albums, and this next one's taken a particularly long time, but I think they're about ready to start recording soon, and from all accounts it's going to be a monster. So yeah, check out Dreadnought if you can. They've got quite a back catalogue of stuff, and it's all very diverse, but predominantly very atmospheric. Originally it was sort of big atmospheric metal, which was phenomenal, but they've spanned a few different genres and gone into a bit more heavy, really hard, heavy Aussie rock stuff, and yeah, just a great band. Check them out for sure.
Well, excellent. You guys can catch Dan McDougall on the 26th of September at the Reverence in Footscray with Dave Tice's band, with his band Never. We're going to play some Buffalo. This song is called Skyrock Volcanic Rock. And, you know, obviously big classic, like he said. And I just want to thank you, Dan McDougall, for coming in. We really appreciate it. And
pleasure, mate.
Please, guys, go check out their show. It's going to be great.